Okay, is there a motion to open the meeting of the Holyoke Planning Board?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Roll call vote for Mimi,
Yes.
Kate,
Yes.
Lauren,
Yes.
and Rosanna.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. We can skip past the MIFA items. We've taken care of those. Zoning text change. Do we want to make a recommendation at this point to the city council, or do we want to discuss it more fully in 2 weeks?
I think we should move it to city council. If we're not going to zone change it, why talk about it?
Oh, no, this is the thing about the signs.
Oh, I thought I'm on numbers 5. Sorry. Oh, I don't know about the signs.
Well,
I
I
think-
think two things. We could go ahead and we could make a recommendation that it's really a matter of enforcement, but we also have the option to suggest some small changes to ordinance. And I don't know if those things should be done at the same time. They probably should go at the same time.
They probably should go at the same time. I mean, my thought is, it sounded as though everybody was in favor of taking the opportunity to say, hey, let's up the fees on these things, because otherwise enforcement has no teeth.
I don't think we should, well,
Well,
I don't
no,
think we need to even suggest changes to the fee schedule, just that if we suggested adding language to allow someone to change the fee schedule, then
well, yeah,
that could be considered.
And who would be the designated person to kind of enforce
That's what
that?
we'd have to figure out. There's some other part of ordinance. Jeff could probably pull it
Well-
out. There are other parts of ordinance that allow fees to be adjusted, I think. And when we
Well,
were talking
because of
about
the fact that this is
short-term
directly,
rental,
sorry, because this is in fact in the zoning ordinance, though, the fee schedule, it has to be done as a zone change.
Oh.
but didn't we write something when we were talking about short-term rentals that like there was a clause that allowed you to adjust the fee schedule?
That was because it was independent, and at that point, wasn't it the building department setting the fees on a separate schedule? Like the building department sets their own fees for everything. They're independent of any zoning process or any other process. They just set the fees. Where these fees are specifically for the non-criminal non-criminal disposition, they are specifically in the zoning ordinance to then apply to all zoning ordinances.
It's just kind of ridiculous that like then what you have to change the ordinance every time the city thinks fees should change.
Well, couldn't we
Yeah.
write a language that says, subject to change per planning board approval?
I think the only way to do that is you'd almost have to remove the fees from the zoning ordinance and put it into the board's rules and regulations, but then that takes it out of the general, because as you know, Lauren, and it's being taken out of that 646 section and putting into like section 1 or 14. I'm always messing those numbers up. But
But
we're taking
wait.
that out because it applies to the whole zoning ordinance.
but wait, we have a lawyer here. Perhaps our lawyer could tell us whether we have to set the fees in the ordinance and change it via a zoning change every time.
So where do we reference it, Jeff? 6.4?
Yeah, it's in
6410.
6410.
Okay, let me take it because I came on to here like in the middle of this conversation with you for you guys.
Yeah.
6.4.10.
But can I also just add one more thing? When
Sure.
Crystal Barnes was city solicitor, this was put in the wrong place. So this is actually for
That
all
happens.
zoning violations, not just signs.
That is true. You can tell by the language. So are you guys looking to,
Yeah,
you're wondering if you can adjust these just without changing the ordinance provision? Yeah.
I
Could
think
we
that
put something into ordinance allowing someone to adjust the fees?
I mean, probably what we staff should do is go through and find 5 other similar cities to Holyoke and find out what they're charging for their fees and bring them back.
The other possibility, of course, is we don't have to decide this tonight. What we could do is take advantage of the fact that, all right, this is the fee schedule for everything. If we have to change the ordinance and make specific fees for every kind of violation, do we want to look at the violations and determine whether some are more serious and should carry heavier fines and recommend that back? As opposed to, you asked us about junk signs in the right of way. So we're only telling you that the only thing we can think to do is to increase fines and increase enforcement for junk signs in the right of way, which I thought was where we were going.
Yeah, I think it's a little chicken egg because like we're working on fixing this part of the zoning ordinance as part of the comp plan. So
Yeah.
now we're gonna do a fix for this one piece.
Yeah, thus the thought that perhaps the answer is to hold it. Kate, I saw
Yeah,
that.
I was suggesting we take advantage of this moment, but I actually think it's probably more complicated than it's worth. And that maybe what we do is we send a letter back to the city council saying, A, we believe this is an issue. We believe there's ordinance that covers this and it's really a matter of enforcement. And B, you might consider whether the fees charged are enough.
That seems like a good course of action to me
Okay.
at this
Do-
moment in time.
Yes. It sounds like a good option to me. Rosanna?
I think it makes total sense, honestly.
Okay, then we have consensus. We should send a letter saying that.
Was that clear enough for Brianna to, or Jeff to
We'll draft something
draft
and
a
we'll
letter?
send it back to Mimi. Do you have time, or would you be willing to look at it?
Oh, sure. You've still got me for like 3 weeks.
Okay, so we'll have something drafted presumably by late this week or by early next week.
I'll just
Sounds
go
good.
back to the recording also, so.
Thank you.
Okay, now we are to the Martin
Should
Street
we,
sub.
do we need to vote on that for you to be able to sign that?
Can't hurt. And I see Jane
So
nodding. Okay, is there a motion?
I'll move that we draft a letter containing the sentiments previously expressed, and that Mimi sign it and send it on our behalf.
Second.
All in favor?
Roll call vote for Mimi,
Yes.
Kate,
Yes.
Lauren,
Yes.
and Rosanna.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, now we are on to the easy one. Martin Street Psychiatry. I think that it was our consensus that this is a spot zone and would alter the character of the neighborhood in undesirable ways, even if it were otherwise permissible, which it isn't, and that therefore we recommend against adopting it. With or without sentiments sympathizing with Ella Sussman, who honestly, if they had given her the special permit, I don't think would have done any harm to the neighborhood.
Right. I mean, I think her business makes as much sense there as either of the businesses that are in the building, if
Yeah.
not more. So nothing against her business, but I think the zone change is impermissible.
Yeah, and if there were any other way to accommodate her, possibly, God help us, some adjustment of the rules for a home occupation special permit. But short of that, the zone change is just not permissible. That's beyond what we were asked to do.
I think if, we have to send a letter about this to the city council, yes. And I think we need to really hammer home a spot zone change is not permissible. You've seen what happens before when you
We,
zone change for a business. That's not necessarily what happens on the property.
yes, remember the motorcycle museum.
Yup, that
Right.
I was totally against, and everybody did it anyways. Now look what happened.
Yeah. Well, you were not
We
the
were
only
all
one.
against.
Yes, I'm pretty sure that we recommended against doing that.
We did, but city council does what they want, or who they
Right,
want.
but that should be in the letter.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Please
that
remember.
makes a lot of sense. I was gonna suggest for her to rent a space just at Open Square. It's like $400, $300, and keep it moving. But I was like, I didn't want to put anything out there. I didn't know if I was allowed to.
Well, Bacon and Wilson's a good firm. They'll figure something out.
Yeah.
So, okay, let's get a vote on that too. Is there a motion to send a letter or recommendation to the city council on the lines just discussed?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Roll call vote for Mimi,
Yes.
Kate,
Yes.
Lauren,
Yes.
and Rosanna.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And now, special permit under 785 for the antenna for Selco Properties. Doing business as Verizon Wireless. We heard this the last session, and basically we put it off till tonight to talk about and to go over a written NOD so that they can move forward.
So in the Google Drive, there's a draft. Um,
I'm getting,
and there was,
I'm pulling it up
thank you.
too.
There was only one question I had for Jane was to whether or not it was necessary to include any references to the section 6409 in the decision, or can the decision just go off on its own merits that presumably there's not going to be any heavy lift conditions to begin with, as it's just an array added to an existing tower, but I wasn't sure if there needed to be any reference to that.
I would reference it
Okay,
just
thank you.
because that's what they did. That was their discussion in the permit that they were applying for. So I would reference it just in case at any point in time we need to distinguish anything. I would reference it.
So if I may, and I know this, you're probably seeing this cold, where would we put it?
I would say, can we go down a little bit?
I mean, should it be a separate section on the tail end of page 1 where it's, where it kind of calls out according to chapter 48, blank, 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 and, or is it just get somehow integrated into the final decision? And again, I'm just throwing that out as just a different,
Could you put it in the project description?
Can we go up a little bit again? I'm sorry, Brianna or Jeff, whoever's doing it.
Yeah, I would think.
Can we just go up like to the top where like we talk about the special, so it says special permit for something above, like in the title. Yeah. So I would say notice of decision, special permit for a wireless telecommunications facility antenna. There we reference the 785 of our ordinance. Maybe put some sort of language in here with expedited review under 6409 or whatever the regulation is.
So
Something
Brianna,
like that.
can you hit a space bar after 785 to bring it down a line? Thank you. And so put that statement there. Expedited review under section 6409. And we can clean this up after, just to get something.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, as a pursuant to expedited review.
I'll fix that after. But expedited review,
6409, under 6409. There's a CMR too, so it's, ugh, hold on.
Well, presumably we can steal language from the application because the application will have laid it out specifically and with all the bells and whistles.
And then I would do a, just a reference, excuse me, under in the findings that just say, like, maybe your first finding is that the application, is something like ripe for review or falls within the standards for 6409 expedited review, something like that. So we can make a note, the planning board can make a note that this application was appropriate for the expedited review.
Right. So we'll add that right under the word findings as its own sentence, and then say in accordance with 932, these are the findings of the special permit.
Or do we want to say some in that lead in that the now I'm doing it pursuant to the authorization, the reviewing standards that were used, they preempt our ordinance. I mean, I'm not doing that well, but I could follow it up in writing. But if this is a
Yes.
case of preemption, where we would demand a whole lot more information before we found this stuff under
Right.
circumstances, does it just make more sense to say that our normal set of findings aren't applicable here because our procedure has been preempted by the federal rules?
But I still think we were allowed to do basic review on some level. Again, I'm not trying to make this more difficult. Yours is
Yeah,
probably a
no,
much easier sentence or way to path to get there, but there still was a review on behalf of city staff. It didn't
yeah,
preclude, or what's the word? It didn't
it didn't preclude the review.
yeah.
Um, yeah, no, it's easier actually to not fuss too much about this and just do it the way you've got it set out.
But another thing, just for the record and for, on the actual application, it does not mention section 6409. So staff is just going to make a note on their application in red ink, just stating that filed under federal section or, 6409, because the actual application does not state anything to that effect.
Okay, well, let's do it the easy way.
Okay.
I withdraw any of my proposed changes. Plus, I like the ones from Kate in the margins better.
And the only question I had, and this might be a question for Ellen, if she's in earshot,
She is
um,
in the shot.
is that by today's
I'm
standards,
here, I'm here.
okay, okay, thank you. By today's standards, can we call these cellular or should we be calling them telecommunications facilities or does it even matter? And I'm just overthinking
It
it.
doesn't matter, but they are cellular, so,
Okay,
yeah.
okay, thank
Okay.
you.
Sure.
And again, these are the board's conditions. These are just draft. Items one, two, three are pretty much standard for most special permits that the planning board issues. Does 6409 not allow for a 20-day appeal period? I have no idea. Recording the decision, presumably they still have to do, or does 6409 say they don't? I don't know.
We
But
still
then
have we still have an appeal period.
oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. And then as far as number two is concerned, I didn't know if we necessarily needed it. I just put PDF there in red as a point that we probably don't need it in hard copy, but if they could forward us a PDF version of it, it's just as easy as us, either making the copy for the hard file or just putting it into the digital network file. And then number three is just a standard one that, we never get proof that the publication was actually paid for. And is that something that they would have and could provide us copy with so that a year from now, Turley's not reaching out to us to pay their bill?
If there isn't a bill paid for, I'll make sure it's paid.
Okay.
Okay, well, yeah, so
You walk straight up the stairs, beginning opposite side. Straight up the stairs. So you're going up the stairs to sequence.
How do I get?
Right up the stairs.
Ellen, are you
Wait, I want to
talking?
make sure.
No.
Okay.
okay, with apologies, I cannot scroll back up or pull up my own copy of this because I'm not on my usual computer. But it sounds like we've covered everything. Or do we
Right. So
still?
just to reiterate for us when we're making the amendments, we're going to include the comment or include the edits that were made by Kate concerning the findings. We're going to add the statement after the findings that this was part of the 6409 expedited review.
Yeah.
And yes, okay. Thank you.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve the uh, special permit as amended during discussion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Roll call vote for Mimi,
Yes.
Kate,
Yes.
Lauren,
Yes.
and Rosanna.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, zooming along here. ANR for Sergeant West Apartments. And Jeff, you had a discussion with the buildings people about this?
Yes, so the in a email to the building commissioner, she stated that she had no problem, because the question I raised was the fact that currently it's two parcels, two buildings, but they're an abutting building, and what they're looking to do is join both lots into one lot, and essentially therefore that would become one building by parcel standards. But she in her email stated that the utilities, there's only one set of utilities regardless, and there's no firewall or something between the two structures. So it's just honestly, she approved or offered, an approval for her part, or her, in her opinion, of the proposed zone change. I'm reading zoning, sorry, the A&R plan. And so basically, in this case here, it's it meets all the zoning requirements. It's so it's I would recommend that the board approve the sign off of it as an A&R.
Okay, is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Roll call vote for Mimi,
Yes.
Kate,
Yes.
Lauren,
Yes.
and Rosanna.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So at this point, I would entertain a motion to enter executive session to discuss topics relating to, or minutes review for topics, an executive session, a meeting that had an executive session related to the proposed drive-through litigation for 500 East Hampton Road, Salmar Realty, and also to discuss the minutes for a executive session discussing Planner 1 and 2 interviews.
So moved.
Do I have to, sorry, do I have to do the recording again now, or
Oh, yeah, we have to have
I
a
forgot how to
second
end?
this.
Okay, so sorry, 1 second.
No problem.
Forgot about that part.